Hey there, it is 12:59 Eastern Standard Time here where I live, and I just want to give you a little bit of an update, show you some interesting things that I've noticed. This should be quick. Famous last words for me. So I'm just going to go ahead, and if you don't catch this at the beginning, you can watch the replay. Hey, Peggy. I'm going to put on my sleep there so I won't be getting any more notifications. Hey, Mildred and Peggy and Cynthia. Hey, y'all. Let me show you what I'm seeing. Overall, for the Schumann, it's not huge. It's very active, but it's not huge. Hey, Rebecca. Dawn Ray. Hey, Mildred. Hey, everybody. The main thing I want to show you, hey, Peggy and Meredith. Main thing I want to show you is some of the anomalies that are happening and some of the things that absolutely don't make sense. And I'm going to tell you what I think it's about. I'm going to tell you so much, just so much of what I think. And then I'm going to leave it up to you all to perceive and listen and hear anything more about it. Hey, Patty. Hey, hey, hey. Another Pamela. Hey there. All right. Let's take a look. Whoop. All right, let's drop the phone. How about that? And let's turn this so that we don't have the little circle light in the way. All right. I'm going to try and back this off. Okay. There, finally. Now, this is the Tomsk University, Russia, SR, Schumann resonance. Okay, and this is a spectrogram, which is the main thing we watch. This is amplitude or power, which shows you the punch that it's carrying. This is frequencies, which is kind of wild right now. And the Q factor or quality factor. And we watch all these things and keep up with it. And also the electromagnetic background level, which is not showing us any interesting black spikes or anything. And it appears to be up to date or up to time. Okay, let me just show you this. Do you see that and how high? See if I can get myself to steady this. Okay. You see this length reaches all the way down to the bottom and all the way up to the top of this scale. And of course, the actual hertz are shown on the spectrogram, and they're shown on the far left side. So the lowest hertz is at the top, 0, and the highest is at the bottom, which is 40 hertz. Now, we've been having some interesting markings recently, to say the least. This is the heartbeat of the Earth, 7.83 hertz. And you see the horizontal green line that carries all the way across. The other horizontal lines are the second, third, and fourth Schumann resonance lines, which have appeared over the last several years. But anytime we have vertical lines like this, we call them spikes. This is substantial, and it's unique. Let's look a little closer. Look at all this funny little stuff. It's almost like little hooks or thorns hooked on. Very unusual. I don't know the impact of that. But you can see we have the green primarily, which is the lowest frequency represented here. But we also have gold, And you can see this over here. We also have gold, red, and the look of orange, which is created by the combination of the two. Now, to me, even though it's just green, this would be substantial. And yet, look here. Notice that is at 9 to 13 on the time scale there. So let's look down below and let's look at 9. Let me get some other pointer. We have 9 right here to 13, which would be right here. And look all it's showing. Like nothing. That's like 9.20 amplitude. That's all. 9. Just over 9 amplitude. Or power, which is tiny, which that does not fit. Oh, Emily, what are you doing? You're sending me stuff. Hey, lady, thank you. Because it's not pointed at me, it just did the whole screen. Thank you. 500 stars that Emily Bess sent me. Much love to you, lady. I appreciate it. Oh, my. I see Norway, Toril, and Marie from Sweden is on here. We have our global community has shown up. Yay! I love seeing all the people, and that looks like Greek to me. I'm not sure what that language is, but it's not translating. We'll translate on a live chat. So hello to everyone and welcome, and so good to see you. I love that we have such a global community and such a lot of love passes between us all. I love it. Okay, so my point is, this is like minute. That's just hardly anything. Look at that piece of, I barely see it with my eyes, but it's amplified cat fur. Okay, so here we have this significant spike, even though it is primarily in green, the lower frequency. When it goes from top to bottom like that, that is a wide span. That's moving from 0 all the way up to 40 hertz. I would think, and Sarah, thank you, 50 stars, hugs and kisses back at you. I would think that this would show here as significant, but it's not. We're seeing hardly anything. If you follow that, that's at about 2 squares down. You can see that's about 9 amplitude or power. And you can see all the other little waves that are on here also registering very low. I call foul. I say something's not right here. That just doesn't add up in my world. I'm trying to turn this. What happened? The screen is different. There we go. Huh. I don't even see the little gizmo that I'm supposed to touch to turn it around. Oh, there it is. It was way over to the left. First of all, that's the first thing I wanted to show you is, even though we have a top to bottom spike, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, when we look at the amplitude or power scale, it's showing up as like nothing. That shouldn't be. That's not right. In my humble opinion, it should show up as more. Next thing is, that doesn't look natural to me. We're seeing a lot of things that don't look natural. Like, you see these vertical lines? It's like a machine created them. And we've been seeing that for a while. And then we have these 5 vertical lines going all the way down and all the way up. That's not looking natural either. And so I want to suggest to you all that this is not natural. Next thing is we have to say, okay, is it man-made? Is it extraterrestrial? Is it some sort of alliance effort. And maybe is it spiritual, like from when we would say spiritual, say angelic, or is it of a devilish source? And that may sound crazy to some of you, but that's okay. I think most of you are in here with me and you understand we're dealing with multiple levels and many different dimensions in our world nowadays, very plainly. The next question is it positive or is it negative? Is its purpose benevolent or malevolent? And I'm not going to give you the answer. I want you all to listen for yourselves. I think we have both, clearly we have both positive and negative intervention, because we're at the turn of an era. We're getting ready to go into a whole new era. And I asked the Lord, I said, would wearing the scalar energy be one of the best things to do for this? I got, no. It's a good thing. And you can get these on my shop online. I'll try and remember to drop the link. Would using shungite be a good help in this case? I got, well, it's good, but it's not the best. I'm like, well, what is it? What is it? What would be the best? And this is what I got: grounding, earthing. This is the one you can wear when you're in the house. It's 39 degrees Fahrenheit here right now. It's a little chilly outside for my part of the world. And this hooks in to the grounding hole in your outlet in the house. And it hooks you into 0 point energy, that of Mother Earth. And it makes a tremendous difference. I actually slept with one of these on last night on my wrist. And my little cat Sugar, who hasn't been feeling the greatest, came and slept in the crook of my arm, the same arm that I was wearing the bracelet on. And I realized she was taking advantage of the earthing frequencies to help her heal and feel better. And, you know, Chip was on the other side of me. And just touching me should have grounded him also. So if you have pets that are having problems, you might want to think about that. My little Sugar and Chipper will not wear anything. They won't wear a collar or anything, so I can't put this on them. I do have grounding mats, but they won't sit on them. I tried putting them on their bedding, and they won't cooperate. But they love to sit on me when I'm using the earthing equipment. Now, your animals are probably different. All animals are different in their ways, but we are experiencing some extraordinary things, some extraordinary energies, things that are out of this world, let's say, that are challenging. I drove into town yesterday, and when I reached a certain place at the boundary of the city, my ears began to ring in a totally different pitch. My ears ring all the time anyway. They have since I was 12. But I don't even notice it most of the time, even though my house is super quiet. The only time I notice is when one of you all say, my ears are ringing. I stop. I'm like, oh yeah, always. But this turned a totally different frequency. It was unrelenting. It was penetrating. I could feel it affecting me. And I thought, and I immediately asked the Lord, like, what can I do to respond to this in a way that will help me not be influenced strongly by whatever is being piped in here? Now that, I think, was a type of man-made stuff, because it happened and was activated when I went into town. But what we're seeing on the charts, I believe, is we're seeing out of this world intervention. And I'm not saying if it's positive or negative, benevolent or malevolent. I want you all to listen for yourselves. But I will say this: tune into love, tune into the high frequency of love. And we know that perfect love casts out fear. So if you're being influenced or you're operating in a place of fear, that's a bad place to be. Get out of it as quickly as you can. Don't listen to things or watch things that make you feel fearful. Don't hang out with people who trigger fearfulness in what they talk about, what they say, and all of that. You want to guard your heart, guard your spirit, your soul, your body, and your energies. And Chipper just came running up here. What is it, Chipper? He's looking out the window. What's out there, boy? And Sugar's already in the window looking out. There are birds eating bird seed on the porch roof outside. They love to come. Oh, Chipper's now on the table here. There you can see the porch roof. Can't see the birds. They're on the left side, apparently. Oh, there's one. Okay. I have a lot of cardinals. A lot of doves. The gray mourning doves. And Chipper, you can't just sit right in front of the iPad. You're going to mess up the broadcast, boy. You have your own chair over there. Why don't you go get on it? Or you want to, if you want to say something to the tribe, you need to go ahead and do it. Oh. Go on. There you go. Okay. All right. They're occupied now. So, I would say ground yourself, earth yourself, stay in a place of love, peace, forgive everybody. Forgiveness is the gateway into the kingdom of heaven. The master said, forgive that you may be forgiven. And he said, judge that you be not judged. Don't judge. Judge not that you be not judged. There is a reciprocal effect here. And we're dealing with an actual, and I know this, it's a revelation I received. Forgiveness is the gateway into the kingdom of heaven, into instant 5D. And this kingdom of heaven, the master said, is within us. Also know that heaven is superimposed over the earth. It's a dimensional experience, so you can be connected to heaven like that. Or you can walk in both places at once. You can walk here on the earth and be here and in touch and be conscious and in touch with heaven and the spirit realm of heaven at the very same time, like having one leg in heaven and one leg on the earth. And it's possible because it's a dimensional thing. The second time I went to heaven, and I did not die to get there, it was like stepping up one step on a staircase, and I found myself standing in this awesome place. Really awesome. The second time, which was about 2 days later, it felt like stepping over a raised curb in a parking lot. The next time, it was like stepping over a flat line. That's as close as this is to us. It's described scripturally as a very thin veil that separates us from here and there. And if you realize that we're all one, even those who have gone over, which would be called the triumphant bunch, that lived the right kind of life and followed after love and oneness with Source. And those of us that are still here, we're actually one. Because we're not dealing with time and space and distance and all that. In the spirit, we're all one. We're all one with Source, with God. If you want to experience an instant revelation, boom, where you don't have to work so hard to get there. And some of the people I met on a cruise was full of new thought, new age people, amazing spiritual people. They worked so hard. They were so dedicated. I was so impressed. But if you want to fast track to God, to heaven, to oneness with Source, I'm just going to say it real clear, okay? Jesus is the fast track. Why? Because he came and he showed us what it was possible for us to be, apart from the curse, apart from the fall, apart from the reptilians, apart from the memory loss and the DNA that was stolen from us. He showed us we can walk on water, we can heal the sick, we can raise the dead. All things are possible. He came and showed us. And then he paid any debt that might be real or perceived between us and God or Source. And the answer is, it is freedom from the lie. And the lie is that we were separate from God anyway, from our Source. We're one with our Source. I want to point out real quick, and I'm sorry if this is offensive. I don't want to be offensive. I want you to take this truth that is wrapped in this particular package that I know so well, translate it in a way that you can hear it without feeling offended or separated. And I'm trying to avoid words that separate. But think about it. The story of Adam and Eve in the garden is all about a snake. Reptilian maybe? It came and told them that God, who came every evening, it said, in the cool of the day to walk with the man and woman and fellowship with them. Can you imagine? That this one that came and walked with them and showed them such love and fellowship and acceptance could not be trusted. That he was trying to keep something back from them. If they ate from that tree, they would become like God, and that God somehow was threatened by that, which makes God not perfect anymore or really trustworthy. That was a seed that was planted. And so the man and the woman, they ate it. They bought into it. They entered into a radical binary situation where nothing is one anymore. Nothing is one. Everything is seen as separate. Like even the two sides of a coin, man and woman, which came from the same thing, very graphically told of Eve being removed from Adam's side at his rib next to his heart. Now they were seen as enemies or opposers and different from one another, not just two sides of the very same coin. And that God or Source, the Creator, the one who came and walked with them, was now to be feared. Now, here's the odd thing. God, who is known to know everything, don't you know he knew that whatever shift this was had happened? That they had taken this knowledge of good and evil? And yet, it says that this one came walking in the garden in the cool of the evening, seeking to fellowship with them, even after what they had done. Does that sound like he's mad at him? Does that sound like this one, the Source, was angry? Does it sound like he had rejected them? Not to me. Isn't that interesting? But they were so afraid from what the snake, the reptilians, had told them. And their God nature that made them glow with light, apparently, called the glory, was gone, and they became aware that they were naked, and they were afraid, it says. And fear entered into the world. And then in the 3rd chapter of Genesis, Source, God, makes arrangement to send himself in the form of man, wrapped in a human body so that we could understand. And that was Jesus. He showed up, and what did he do? There's this woman who was caught in adultery, one of my favorite stories in the Bible. She was caught in adultery, and they were going to stone her to death. And Jesus shows up, and he says, it says he wrote something in the sand, and all these holier than thou people suddenly started to filter away and leave and throw down their rocks and leave. Well, what did he write? Some people think he wrote something that only they knew about, that they were ashamed of, and they realized they didn't have the right to stone anybody. And after they're all gone, Jesus looks at the woman who had been caught in the very act of adultery. The question, where was the man? But anyway, he says to her, "Woman, where are your accusers?" And she says, "I don't see any. Lord, I don't see any. They're gone." And he said, "I don't accuse you either." He said, "Now go and sin no more." In other words, don't do something that's going to get you in real bad trouble. Sin literally means separation. Isn't that interesting? We can have that between one another, pardon me, as well as between us and Source. So Jesus shows up, and he shows us this loving being that forgives and heals people and embraces the common man and woman, and he is called a friend of sinners, drunks, prostitutes, tax collectors. And those were the dregs of society, according to that society. And Jesus hung out with them. His answer was, the well don't need a physician, the sick do. And I came to heal. And then he said, if you've seen me, you have seen the Source, the Father. Father literally means in Hebrew source. Source. And he said, if you've seen me, you have seen the Father. You've seen the Source. This is what he's like. He's like me. So he is a fast track to oneness with Source, because he is the one who came and showed us what our heavenly parent really is like. And he undid the lies, and he showed us who we really are, and said the things he did, these amazing miracles and stuff, that we would do the same, and greater works would we do. And you know, these are words of reconciliation, love, beauty, and restoration. This is what's called the good news. The other word for it is the gospel, good news. It doesn't say, go out and condemn everyone, find everybody's sins out and point the finger at them and make them feel like a total rat and convince them they're useless and worthless. It doesn't say that. It says, tell them that Source, Heavenly Parent, loves them, and that all debts are paid. And we can return to who we truly are, because we have been now set free from an ancient lie that set us in a place of fear. Now come into love. Come into this awesome, divine, unconditional love, and walk and enjoy your life and love other people and shine a bright light. Ye are the light of the world, a city set on a hill. It cannot be hidden. And people are walking in darkness and fear, and we get to shine light and love. That's what this is really about. So we have an enemy too, though, and we need to be wise. We're in the very turn of this era, and the new era is coming in. And we are remembering who we truly are. We're remembering what we really are. We're discovering we're not separate from one another or from Source. We're realizing that this is really all about love. There's a scripture that says, God is love. How about that? What a delight. The greatest experiences I have had, the most wonderful spiritual experiences. I mean, knock your socks off, melt you into a puddle, were intimate, beautiful experiences of love. When you are seen for all that you are by the one who knows everything, and you find that that one adores you just as you are. To truly be known as you are, from top to bottom, in and out, and that you're understood. And there's only love there for you. Wow. It's amazing. It's like, I remember in those moments what I'm living for. I remember who I am. And I remember so much. So I've opened my heart to you a lot today, and I hope you all can receive it and not be turned off by thinking I'm talking religion. I'm not talking religion, I'm talking relationship, principles and truth that override all culture and religion. It's so much bigger than that. And I'm not totally sure how I got here onto this subject, but I will say, remember who you are. Realize that gifts are being given out to men and women, boys and girls. Spiritual gifts are being doled out, and gifts are free. Knowings and understandings, ways of seeing and hearing and speaking and doing and being are being passed out to whoever will receive it. And these are great days, beloved, dear friends, tribe, Shumanites. These are great, great days. And many of us are indeed remembering who we are. And I've shared with you all that I was actually, I haven't said it in a while, so I'll just say it. I was used by God, by the love of my life, by Source, Heavenly Parent, to raise someone from the dead. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? He was found dead in his car. A person's very, very close to me. He was found dead in his car, and they weren't sure how long he had been there. The emergency people found no sign of life, and it took a long time to cut him out of the car with the jaws of life. No sign of life the entire time. Over an hour, I understand. They weren't in a real rush because they could tell he was dead. They put him on the helicopter and flew him to the big hospital. And no sign of life. They could not resuscitate him. And he was my ex-husband. I'll just put it real plain. He was dead. They immediately put him on life support. Why? Because they wanted his organs. The only thing about him that was damaged was he had a few cuts in his left arm and severe brain injury. When I saw him, It was pretty rough, but I was in my mission mode. He and I had been divorced at this time for a little while, not that long, and his parents called me and said, Mark has been in a really bad accident, and the doctors aren't giving us much hope. Well, they were trying to be kind. They were giving them no hope. And they told me they loved me and they always hoped we would get back together and all that. And if I wanted to, though it was not, they weren't asking me to, they weren't requiring it, I was welcome to come to the hospital and be with them. And anyway, I did go down there after I met with my mentor, Brother Littlefield. And to cut the story short, which I've told it many times before, but it's been a good while, I walked in. First of all, John, Mark's dad, said, do you want to go in and see him? Well, I thought he was in intensive care. I didn't realize he was dead. I thought he was in a deep coma, that he was in bad shape and they were not giving much hope. I didn't realize he was dead. I didn't get it. And nobody was being so blunt with me. And and I looked to his mom and said, do you want to go in? I know that time is limited in intensive care units with, who gets to go in. And she said, no, go on in. And I thought, I didn't know. And I said to John, I said, what's with that? She said, she's afraid of dead people. I didn't get it. It went whoosh, right over my head. It's a good thing it did too. It's a good thing it did. So if I'd known he was dead, that would have probably put a bit of a cramp in my style. But I went walking in with John. Strangely, it was a very large room. I'd never seen an ICU unit like that. I'm talking to you all about bona fide, impossible miracle. I don't call it a miracle unless it breaks the laws of nature. This did. I've seen quite a few things like this in my life, and you can too. You hear me? You can too, if you have not already. Now, big room, it was very cold. I didn't understand. There was equipment lined up around the walls. It was a big room. I would say it was 40 feet long, maybe 50 feet long, and about 40 feet wide, and equipment lined all around the wall. And right out in the middle of the floor was this gurney, like you'd see used in an ambulance, and all these machines around it, and things beeping and breathing and all that stuff. And John and I walked in, and Mark was laying on that gurney, and I would not have recognized him. I didn't know this, but severe brain injury causes so much swelling. His nose was level with the rest of his face. His eyes were black from bruising. It was awful. It was like a parody of a human being. But I was in get it done mode. I was there to help. I just didn't know what I was going to do. And best way I can describe it, it's like a bucket had been put over his head, and the narrow part was at the top, and the flared open part was at the bottom. His face was hanging on his chest and shoulders. It was awful. It was so swollen that there was no similarity. He didn't even really look human in the face. It was awful. He had a 6-inch probe drilled into his forehead where they were monitoring for brain activity. And the young doctor that was sewing up his arm said, we just thought we'd sew his arm up. Of course, he can't feel anything. And I thought, well, he's in a coma. He doesn't feel it. I didn't know he was dead. And he said, we're searching for brain activity, but there isn't any. And he said the only activity is seizure activity from the electricity coming off with the probe drilled into his forehead. Well, I just let that go by me too. And it was an awful scene. I walked over to his right side. There were no injuries on his hand. I took his hand, and Brother Phil had taught me about transmitting the anointing or the power of God. It is a real force. You might call it chi or ki. This is really powerful stuff, though. And I knew that the power of God could go through my hand into Mark. And so I intentionally took his hand for love and also for that. And I began talking to him. I said, I know you're not conscious, but I know you can hear me, because I've heard people can hear if you're in a coma. And John was on the other side of Mark, and he was looking at me with this strange pity look. And I thought, okay, well, whatever. He didn't know what to think of what I was doing. And I guess he knew somehow that I didn't realize Mark was dead. He couldn't bring himself to tell me. Well, anyway, I kept talking to Mark. I told him we loved him, that my mentor, Brother Phil, was praying for him, that many people were praying for him, and that I loved him. And I said, I'm not going to let go of you until you've had the chance to make everything right with God. Because he was living an interesting life at that time. And I said, you know, God loves you, Mark. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter where you've been. He loves you. And I'm talking to him like this. And all you need to do is just ask, and he'll forgive everything, and you'll be completely, loved, etc., etc. And I said, I'm not going to let go of you until you've had time to do this business in your life. Well, anyway, we left and went back out into the waiting room, and Mark's mother and the aunts and uncles were crying, and some of Mark's friends were over in the corner too, and they were crying. Well, the doctor and the nurse had been out, wanted the family to sign paperwork because they wanted all Mark's organs, which were in good shape. And they said, we're going to unplug him because he'll never be anything but a vegetable. And they were all crying, obviously. Mark was an only child. And I heard myself saying the craziest stuff. I said, this is many years ago. I was still quite young at this point. I looked at them. They were sitting in a little horseshoe waiting area, like a bench. And John had sat down next to Mark's mom. And I said, I hear what you're saying, and I don't want to give false hope. That would be cruel. But I'm just going to tell you what I'm getting. I said, you all know that I love God. And they said, yeah. And I said, well, I'll tell you what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that Mark is not going to be a vegetable. He's not going to be a cripple. He's going to be fine. And John looked very angry to begin with. I could tell he was thinking, how dare you talk your religious garbage to us in this horrible moment? That sounds horrible, doesn't it? I just knew I was being led and moved clearly. And I said, or he looked at Dean, and then he saw that Mark's mom, whose name was Dean, looked alarmed, frightened. And then I looked around the group at the aunts and uncles, and they all looked frightened and alarmed for me. They thought I'd lost my mind. They thought, oh, poor Marguerite, she loves him so much that she's just lost all reason. And now they're concerned for me. And John saw this, and all of a sudden he was concerned now. He went angry at me. He got run through. He had been run roughshod by religious church people, and he had no use for them. Understandably so. I have a lot of compassion for that. The people that are the meanest and roughest to me on our page are religious people. And it's shocking to me. But that's the way it is. Religious people crucified Jesus. You know, religious people are some of the meanest people on the face of the earth. And then there are some really good people. But I don't use the word religious for just spiritual people who love God. I call religious people those who are running by rules and regulations and judging everyone else. And they're trying with all their might to get themselves to heaven and fulfilling rules, trying to get God to approve of them. And that can make people do a lot of desperate things. Mean things. Anyway, I said, Mark's going to be fine. He's not going to be a vegetable. And I'll tell you what, he's going to walk out of here in a few days. And when he does, and this was radical, it came out of my mouth like I was on fire inside. And when he does, you'll know that it was my God that did it. And yeah, that sounds radical. And it was. And I said, I didn't know what to do then. I was out of my speech. I was through. It like flew out of me without my real conscious permission. And I looked at him and I said, I love you all. And I'll be back tomorrow. And I left. Once again, when I'm being used like that, lots of things go right over my head. I don't even think or feel or second think it. You know, it just comes through me like a torrent. Like a lot of the talks I do here. But anyway, if you have to leave, I understand. I know some of you are working and so forth. This will be on replay. You can come back and watch it later. But this is a good part. Hang on just a few more minutes. The next day I came, and John and I went back in there, and I took Mark's hand again, and I talked to him about love and how blah, 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 all about love. And then I said, like an afterthought, I said, by the way, Mark, and this sounds retarded, but this is just me, the way I am. I said, listen, they're talking about unplugging you off of this machine, and I don't think you're ready for that yet. So, listen, we need to do something quick. In my mind, oh, hey, what is that? Someone is sending me hearts, I think. Thank you, Shanna. Thank you. She said, loving your soul right now, as always. Thank you. Thank you all for loving me just like I am. You know, I am what I am. And thank you, Lavonda. I see you sent me 200 stars. Thank you. Let me hang this thing up so I don't have to hold it. Well, anyway, I came back the next day, and we walked in there, and I was doing the God loves you, I love you, we're all praying for you, everybody loves you. And he was a very lovable, and is a very lovable man. And lot of a personality, cute, etc., etc. Anyway, and I said, listen, they're going to unplug you, and I don't think you're ready for that yet. We need to do something quick. And John was standing on the other side like, oh my gosh, what's she going to do now? Thinking I was in La La Land, you know. And I had Mark's hand. I said, tell you what, Mark, if you can hear me, And I knew the doctor, the young doctor that was there, had said he may, you know, move or something, but that will be just a spasm from the electric probe that's in his forehead going into his brain. It would be spastic seizure activity. I said, Mark, if you can hear me, squeeze my hand. He went, yes. John went, no. He said, no, that's just seizure activity. The doctor told us. And I was on target mission. I said, Mark, do it again. He did it again. John's eyes were open. They were out on stems almost. And I said, one more time, Mark. And he did it one more time. And John was out of there sprinting to go tell Mark's mom that Mark wasn't dead anymore. They came rushing back in, and she pushed me out of the way. She never was very fond of me. Pushed me out of the way and grabbed Mark's hand and said, Mark, squeeze my hand. Mark, squeeze my hand. And I just smiled. It's like I knew I had done what I was there to do. I smiled and I walked out of the room and left Mark's parents with him. He called me in a couple of days and he said, Marguerite, I want you to come and walk with me out of this hospital. And I said I would be happy to. But mind you, I still didn't realize he had been dead. I thought he was just in a coma. I thought it was just an amazing healing, you know. So I did. I came and I showed up, and his cousin was on his right side. I was on his left side, so I was holding his hand with my right hand. And he refused to ride the wheelchair, which is policy. You have to leave in a wheelchair. Well, he wouldn't do it. He had a little bit of a limp in his left foot. He is blind in his left eye and deaf in his left ear. That's all. The limp disappeared. He has a glass eye, and you would never know that he had been dead for days. He is a bona fide miracle, sharp as a tack, as always. And his parents were waiting for him at the end of the sidewalk in the car, and that was an amazing thing. Well, I was writing a book on healing, I guess now about 6 years ago, and Mark called one day and we were talking on the phone, and I said, Mark, you remember when you were in that terrible car accident and you were in that coma and God healed you? It was just impossible. And there was silence on the other end. And I said, are you there? And he said, Marguerite, that isn't the way it was. And I said, wait a minute. Don't go back on this. That was huge. He said, yes, it was. He said, but I wasn't in a coma. I said, what do you mean? He said, I was dead, Marguerite. He said, when we left the hospital, they gave me my death certificate because they didn't know what to do with it. I was sitting right over there, right at the top of the stairs, next to the window when he told me that. And it's like frozen in my mind. I didn't know what to say. I've seen a lot of bona fide miracles. I've been very blessed. But he was telling me he had been raised from the dead, and I didn't know what to do. I was stymied. I was speechless. And I said, tell me more about this. That's when I realized, that was years later, I still had just thought he'd been in a coma. I'm telling you, I can be pretty clueless. La, 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 la. Yeah, the IQ says I'm a genius, but I'm a dingbat too. I'm really dingy. And sometimes it's a blessing to be a dingbat, to be dingy. So that's the story. And yes, I know this kind of stuff. I have seen it. I've seen tumors the size of a fist disappear in a matter of minutes when I was laying hands on someone in Jesus' name. That is the fast track. It's the fast track to miracles. It's the fast track to everything. You don't have to work to get there. It's oneness. When you're one with Source, with God, and you know it, and there's nothing between you and Source, and you know everything is love, and you've been forgiven, you don't have to work. You just open your mouth or reach out and touch somebody, knowing that all the power of the Creator of the universe is behind you and in you. That there's no lack of power. There's no lack of any of that. That is our natural state. That's who we really are. And we're remembering who we are as this photonic light energy is coming in. Our DNA is being awakened. We are waking up. People are thinking like they never thought before in my lifetime. People are getting free of the boxes we lived in. And we're realizing this is really all about love. It's not about dogma. It's not about rules and regulations. It's about life and love and light and receiving that free gift of reconciliation between ourselves and between our Source. It was all a deception from the enemy. And it's freedom. It's good news. It's not something else. So, when we realize who we are, what kind of power is in us, what kind of power we are connected to and one with, it changes everything. And you don't live by fear anymore. Fear isn't even a thing. You have moments, perhaps, where self-preservation kicks in when you're in trouble and something dramatic has happened. But there is no fear that can stay. That's just an impulse. When you know that you're loved, when you know that you are connected and one, it changes everything. It's effortless too. It's effortless. You just become one and a conduit that is connected to all the power of the universe. That's all. Wow, I didn't expect to go here today, but I did, didn't I? So if this is challenging your belief system, I didn't mean to. Maybe only if it breaks you free from fear or boxes that hold you prisoner, or boxes that make you think that Source, God, is mad at you and doesn't love you. I would love to break that belief system off of you, but the only way that's probably going to happen is through love. And you know, it's contagious. It can flow right through this iPhone to you. And not only that, but it's all around you. Unlimited, beautiful love. God is love. Look at who the Lord Jesus presented to us. Loving, kind, healing, accepting, embraced everyone. The only people he spoke harshly to were the religious people who were trying to throw all kinds of burdens and doubt and fear on people and making them feel like they couldn't get to God or the Source. This is freedom, everyone. This is freedom. And your extreme abundance and place of walking in miracles and being in a place of instant healing and being able to walk in the Spirit straight into heavenly places, not astral projecting, not forcing your way, just going as you are taken. It's another world. It's a world of peace and joy and love and spreading good news and just caring about people. I'm trying to lose any judgmental attitudes I have, any boundaries like that. You know, it's not my job to convict or make someone feel guilty, not at all. Most people know what they're doing that's wrong, that's not working for them, but they're afraid there is no way out. But there is. There is. And it's just like that. Everything can change just like that. That's what happened to me. I was a suicidal kid. I had been suicidal through my 12th year and into my 13th year. I'd come from a horrible background. Rough. You would think my parents were perfect people, but he wasn't perfect. And there was ritual abuse that I didn't remember until recent years. And it was bad. I was a suicidal person. I was a goody two-shoes, but I had depression I couldn't shake. And I said, God, if you could possibly love me, even though I'm so rotten good for nothing, and I was a goody two-shoes. I didn't, you know, why did I feel that way? I said, if you could possibly love me, then stop me from what I'm about to do. And I had a razor sharp knife. I could shave my arm with it, pocket knife. I'm an artist, so I was always whittling on this or cutting that, whatever. And I couldn't take it anymore. Couldn't sleep at night. I was so exhausted. I was so afraid. I was so horrified. And I said, if you love me, then stop me. Because I was going right after my wrist. I was going to end it. And I had locked my bedroom door with a knob button, and I'd used a hook latch. And I made sure I did it very carefully because I'd heard if you messed up, you didn't successfully kill yourself, they would take you away to some mental hospital, and I didn't want that. So I came down, I had my eyes closed, and I was coming down on my wrist, and the door opened up. Double lock. My mother walked through, didn't break a latch, nothing. Had clothes in her arms that had been washed and dried to put in the drawers. And that's me. I was like, oh. I saw it. I realized the latch didn't break. And she came through the double locked door. My hand flinched. And I don't know if you can see it here, but there's a scar here where I missed. And I hit right there. It was a lot of years ago. I'm 64 now. And I was 13 at that time. What I heard was, in my heart, there's hope. Maybe God loves me somehow. Maybe he could possibly love me. You know, when you've been abused, it's a real problem. And anyway, when I met love, it was supernatural. I was set free from all that oppression, and I slept that night for the first time in years. All night long, effortlessly, and all the depression was gone, and the fear was gone, and all I knew was I was loved just like I was. Lock, stock, and barrel. I knew that God Almighty was in love with me and had nothing against me. It made all the difference in the world. It wasn't religion. It was an amazing love affair that began. And I changed overnight. And that love affair is still going on. Some of my religious beliefs are different because I realized, you know, God, source, however you want to say, is bigger than our religions and our ideas. But I will always adore Jesus Christ. I have seen him face to face, and I have seen the love. When I've gone to heaven, I have seen him. He adores us. You've never seen love until you've seen him. And I have stood in his embrace. I've looked in his eyes. I have experienced it myself. And I will always be head over heels in love with him, and I will not apologize, and why should I? And that's why I love you so much, because that love is in me. And this just didn't go the way I was expecting today, but I've really shared my heart with you, and I hope you love me still. I hope you understand that I really have opened my heart up and exposed the deepest part of me today. And as far as the, oh, who's doing that? Ah, thank you. Trying to get down here to see where that came from. A lot of people have come on. My goodness. A lot of folks have visited. Wow. Not to the bottom yet. Oh my goodness, a lot more than it's showing. I'm not, oh, Tanya. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. Thank you. You know, it's hard to open up everything because people want to judge you any way you go, and I don't want to be judged. I don't want to judge you, but I do want to share my heart with you. And no matter what your background is, please understand from my heart, this is all about love. It's all about a relationship, and the proof is in the pudding. I've seen miracles right and left and all around. And I shared one of the most dramatic ones about how my ex was raised from the dead. That's really big. I hear it come out of my mouth and I'm like, woo, that's amazing. But anyway, let's quickly do the heart brain coherence meditation. And I will drop some charts into a post for you all. I'm not going to talk about them right now because I don't want to come down from this place where we are. Let's do the heart brain coherence meditation. Touch your heart area. Bring your attention right here. Imagine, and this only takes 3 minutes, by the way, if you're new to this, and amazing things can happen and will, no doubt. Imagine you're breathing in and out from this heart area, not just your nose and mouth. So breathe in from your nose and out. Do it again. And just let go of everything. Feel that. It's almost like a hum. I feel a centering sensation. And then what you want to do is think about something you're really grateful for. I always think of the day I met love. It changed everything. You might think about your children, your home, whatever. This tribe we have so we don't feel so alone. Just pick something that you have real gratitude for, something that you feel deeply. And begin to think about that while you remember every so often to breathe in and out from the heart area and keep your hand here. And that's the whole meditation. Are you ready? And I will tell you when the 3 minutes is up. And I'm going to wait until we go on to the minute, and then I will say, let us begin, but not quite yet. Think of something you're really grateful for. Let yourself focus on it all the way through the 3 minutes. Remember to breathe in and out from the heart. Your heart and your brain torus field, these power generators, will join together in coherence. Miracles can happen. Changes come. Symptoms leave. You have aha moments, revelations. And now it's almost time. I'll let you know when the 3 minutes is up. Let us begin. Breathe in through the heart and out. Thinking of something you're really grateful for. Thank you. Thank you. Now you all know what I'm saying. Thank you for when I do this. Thank you. Your tears of joy don't feel bad for me. It's bliss, bliss, ecstasy, love. Wow. Thank you. Such love, such peace, bliss. Just a few moments more. Thank you all for joining me. That was wonderful, and thank you for hearing my heart. I know you can come back at any time and watch the replay, and you can do the heart brain coherence meditation at any time, and amazingly, it's just as powerful in the replay because there is no time or distance or space in the spirit. So I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon. I'll drop some posts about the energies right now, and I'd love to hear if you had an experience during this time, what you may have felt or experienced or known, whatever happened with you. I'd love to hear about it. So much, much love to you all.